So guys, update 5, the road to Carentan is finally here for Hell Let Loose with, of course, the brand new Purple Heart Lane map. But not just that, we've also got a ton of other new content and patch notes to talk about as well. So guys, this is BillyEatWorld again, and let's find out. Alright guys, how you going? Welcome to the video, and like I said, update 5 for Hell Let Loose is now finally live, and as you can see here in this one, I've actually got some brand new gameplay of Purple Heart Lane Warfare to show you guys. Now, you might remember we've spoken about Purple Heart Lane in the last few videos, and well, I've got to admit I was pretty skeptical until I played it today, because not only is it a map based around choke points, it's also yet another map set in Normandy, France, and we've already got a ton of them in the game already. So look, when I fired this map up for the first time, I really wasn't expecting much, but in all honesty, I was actually pretty surprised. Because, I mean, sure, you can see on the surface it's reusing a lot of the same assets as, for example, Omaha Beach, but it's been designed in a completely different way. You'll see straight away the map has got a lot more water. There's not just flooded fields, but there's also rivers and creeks that basically run everywhere throughout the map. And I was kind of worried at first because from the tactical map it looked pretty open on the surface, but after a while of playing it you'll actually realize there's a ton of trenches and embankments, which probably actually means it's got more cover than most of the other maps. Now, like I said, the other thing I was worried about was the fact it's a choke point map being designed around 4 real bridges that the Germans and Americans battled over in the war. And look, there's no getting around it. It is a choke point map, and yes, it can be grindy, but surprisingly, it's not as grindy as I thought it actually would be. To begin with, yes, you do need to use the bridges, and no, you can't really avoid them. The waterways marked in red on your map, well, they physically can't be crossed easily or at all. But what I didn't count on was how many smaller crossings there would be out to the flanks. And so, while yes, it is possible to lock down a bridge or two, which does get pretty annoying for the attacking team, it's actually kind of hard to control all the bridges, and so the attackers can eventually flank around if they're smart enough. Now, in saying that though, I think probably this map is definitely better suited to warfare than it is to offensive, purely just because offensive is grindy enough anyway. And although I think this is probably on the better end of grindy maps, I still just think the combination of those two things combined might be a little bit too much. But even so, I still think it's probably better than Foy, for example, which is kind of like an unintentional choke point map, and in my opinion, almost unplayable on offensive mode. And so all in all, look, in a nutshell, Purple Heart Lane definitely isn't my favourite map in the game so far, but I can see why some people are going to love it, and it definitely won't be one that I'm going to try to avoid. Alright, so moving on, just in case you haven't had a chance to check out my last few videos, well, just to bring you up to speed, there's a lot more content in this one than just the new map. And firstly, there's 2 new US jumbo tanks called the 75mm Cobra King and the 76mm Nice and Easy. Now, we went into a bit more detail on these in a video the other day, but basically the 75mm is more geared towards fighting infantry, and the 76mm is designed for knocking out German tanks. So definitely give these a try out whenever you can, but just quickly, 2 things to bear in mind. Firstly, unlike any other tank in the game, the 75 has actually got smoke rounds, so make sure you try those out. And secondly, both of these tanks have got a lot more armor on the front and not so much on the sides, so just be careful not to expose your flanks. Now, as well as that, the other big new feature in this update is the improvements to the UI and the HUD, which you'll now notice looks a fair bit different. And even before you've spawned in, what you'll notice is there's been some changes to map icons, and most importantly to outposts and garrisons, which are now more historically accurate, although I think probably at the expense of being maybe a little bit hard to read. Also, I should mention you've now got a ton of new non-verbal communication options. For example, you can quickly ping the location of an enemy for your squad by clicking the middle mouse button. And not just that, but there's also a ton of new placeable markers as well, which you can access by holding the middle mouse button or by right-clicking on the tactical map. But anyway, that's the big stuff out of the way. So finally, to finish up, I just want to go through a few of the smaller details you might have missed from this update. For example, firstly, if you take a look, there's actually now settings you can change to adjust your HUD display mode and fade out duration, and also the duration of things like markers and the new ping feature. Not just that, but you'll also notice that maps now spawn, quote, a more balanced but asymmetrical lineup of vehicles, which apparently is to better reflect the real-life historical battles. And apparently this is because the devs are working on giving commanders more control to call in additional vehicles. And apparently they're going to be rolling that out in the next few updates. Also, speaking of commanders, well, another new feature you might have missed is that the commander can now dismantle friendly garrisons. And also, here's another cool thing, you might want to take a look at the loadout section again in the role selection screen. Not only has the UI been significantly improved, there's new loadouts now for squad leaders, the assault class, and for the auto rifleman. But finally, and here's an important one, quote, Experience version 2 has been implemented, resulting in increased experience gained across the board. So in a nutshell, not only will you now get more XP for performing a range of different tasks, but you'll also, and I love this one, you'll get a decent amount of XP for accepting a revive from a friendly medic as well. But anyway, we're almost done, but one last quick thing before we finish up. The devs actually had quite a bit of info in this latest official dev post about what's coming next to the game. And normally I just tack that onto the end of this video, but in this case, I'm actually going to hold off on that because apparently in the next week or so, we're going to be getting a roadmap for Update 6 and Update 7. So look, if you want to go and have a read of that info in this week's dev blog, please do. I'll leave a link to it in the description. But in saying that, it's not really new content related. It's more about back-end stuff and optimization. But on the other hand, if you are more interested in learning about what's coming next in terms of content to the game, well, you might want to check out the official Hell Let Loose Twitter channels in the next week or so. And of course, on this channel, I'll probably have a video up as soon as that comes out. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this quick update video. So as always, make sure to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And just remember that I can't possibly cover every single detail of the patch notes in just one video. So as always, I'll leave all the links that you need down below and you can check out the full info if you really want to do that. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also, don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later, and have a good one.